Right, I don't know how many, about 100 times I've tried this now. So with a bit of luck, this will work. I've decided to do a lone Zoom chat. So I'm in my own little Zoom meeting right now, so that I can screen share, and also send you the video. I can record it, etc. So fingers crossed, let's see if this works. Okay, so I'm just going to screen share now. Yay! So hopefully you're seeing my screen. Okay. So you should be able to see the skin PowerPoint now. Okay. So this week we were going through the dermis. Now I think we touched on this in class already. And I think there was a little bit in your activity book last week also. So this is a bit of like reinforcing basically. Okay, so we need to know a lot about the skin as a beauty therapist. Understanding the skin allows us to treat it correctly, help our clients with their concerns, and just understand how the skin works. Okay, so this is just the basics, the foundations, and as the year goes on and as your careers go on, you'll build on this. Okay, so it's the foundations. So we've been through the epidermis, and we've touched on the functions of the skin too, so our shapes V. So now we're going to talk about the dermis, which is also called the true skin. Okay, so if your epidermis is this thick, your dermis is basically this thick. Okay, so it makes up the bulk of your skin. Okay, so just to recap our functions, our shapes V. So the first S is for sensation. So we've got those little nerve endings in our skin to help us with sensation. They allow us to feel heat, pressure, pain, touch, vibration, light pressure, deep pressure, sharp pressure, soft pressure, etc. And they kick in our reflex actions if we're going to hurt ourselves. So if we touch something hot, it will basically kick in an automatic response. So we don't actually have to mentally think about it. It kind of happens. We react by moving away from that hot object before our brain even registers what we've done. So that's something really cool about the nervous system. So that's our sensation. Okay, so that is sensation via our nerve endings. Then we've got heat regulation. Now, heat regulation is via a few different things. So we've got our hair that's found in our skin. Okay, we have the erector pili muscles, which allow us to have goosebumps. We have capillaries, so our blood circulation, the constriction and the vasodilation of our capillaries allows us to conserve heat or remove heat more effectively from our body to cool us down. And we've also got sweating. So when we're too hot, we sweat, and that helps to cool us down. The next one, A, is for absorption. So our skin has the ability to absorb certain chemicals and certain substances. Now, our epidermis is waterproof, but it can absorb certain things. So each cell, I'm doing this, so it's like, think of it as an M&M, and that hard coating, it's a skin cell. So a hard coating is like the outside of the cell, the skin of the cell, per se. And it acts like a security guard. So only certain things can get through that. And all of our skin cells are linked together. So there's no gaps, okay? So what happens is certain chemicals trigger an aquaporin, which is a little pore in the skin cell wall. It triggers that to open and allow that substance in, okay? And then it will eventually pass through each cell until it reaches the dermis, okay? And when it hits the dermis, it can be uptaken by our circulatory system. So if you've got any good quality essential oils at home, try this little trick. If you've got peppermint anyway, so peppermint essential oil, if you put one little drop on your foot, within 5-10 seconds, you'll taste it in your mouth. Okay, so it's a fun little trick if you've got a good quality peppermint oil at home to try out. Okay. Please don't try it with other essential oils. I know peppermint is edible in certain concentrations, but essential oils can be quite dangerous. So just be careful with what you do that. So absorption is that our skin can absorb certain things, generally chemicals. So think of transdermal medications such as nicotine patches or hormone replacement patches. That's how our skin absorbs. Okay. The next, so P, is for protection. So our skin provides protection in a range of ways. It's got our nerve endings to protect us from sharp objects or hot objects. And it is a hard protective, like it protects our insides. Okay, it stops us getting debris or scratches and so forth. It keeps our insides obviously together. It protects all of our vascular system, so all of our capillaries, our nerve endings, etc. It has immune function, so we've got Langerhans cells to kind of interact with our immune system to let our system know when there's an allergen present. So say you're allergic to bees, the Langerhans cells play a role in getting that information to your immune system. Okay, so your Langerhans are within your skin. They are in your basal layer of your epidermis, and what they do is they register an allergen and they send a message to our immune system to create an immune response to hives or anaphylaxis and so forth. Okay. How else? It's waterproof. Okay. And yeah, just creates that kind of hardened exterior to protect our insides. And also, we've also got our acid mantle, which we'll talk about soon. And our acid mantle protects against bacteria and pathogens. Then we've got our excretion. So E for excretion. It can also be elimination, your pick. And that is sweat. So when we sweat, we can excrete or eliminate excess salts and waste materials through sweat. Secretion is sebum. So we secrete sebum. Now sebum and sweat mix together to create our acid mantle, which is part of our skin's protection barrier. And we'll talk about that later. Okay, so secretion is sebum. We secrete sebum. And then vitamin D production. We produce vitamin D. So our skin reacts with the sun to produce vitamin D. Okay, it reacts with the dehydrocholesterol within our sebum, and it produces vitamin D. And we use vitamin D for a range of things: bone health, health of our teeth, our mental well-being, brain function, all sorts. And then we've got melanin production, and melanin is actually another protection mechanism. So we all have a certain amount of melanin within us. Okay, we're born with a certain amount of melanocytes, and we keep them for our lifetime, but they produce different amounts of melanin. Okay, so when we're in the sun, that's a melanin stimulator. So that's when tan is activated, and yeah. Okay, and when we have pigmentation issues, it's an issue with the melanocytes in the area. So they're either being stimulated by hormones or by an external factor to produce that pigment in the area. Okay, so they are your functions of the skin. So yeah, we'll move on now. So just while we're on this picture here, don't know whether you can see my cursor, the mouse cursor, but you can see there just how thin the epidermis is compared to the dermis. The dermis is that middle part, so it's the basically the filling in between the two pieces of bread. The top piece of bread being the epidermis, the bottom being the subcutaneous layer. Okay, so that's where that's where everything is. So the epidermis is purely skin cells, okay, where the dermis is a mixture of collagen, elastin, our vascular system, so capillaries, blood vessels, mast cells, histiocytes, fibroblasts, and we've got all of our appendages such as the hair follicle, the erector pili muscle, etc. Okay, so we'll get into that now, but we call it the true skin because that's where everything happens. Okay, we apply creams and everything to our face, but unless the ingredients can actually penetrate through the epidermis to the dermis, it's not going to do anything. Okay, so we want our products to be working on the dermis, not just on the epidermis. So I'm just going to flip through the epidermis now. Hopefully you guys are going all good with the epidermis. So if you find that you're getting through the work really fast, just keep recapping. Go back through the epidermis, go back through your skin types and conditions, just keep on top of it all. Make flashcards, and just pick it up every now and then and have a look at it. So here we are, the dermis. So some of you may have read through the e-learning information, or you may have read through your books, or a few of you have even sent in your quiz results. Well done, you did amazing. And for the rest of you, this could be fresh today. Okay, so the dermis is our thickest layer of skin. It's also called the true skin, and it varies in thickness from between 1.5 millimeters to 4 millimeters thick. It contains blood supply, so our capillaries. It has lymphatic capillary, nerve endings. We've got a variety of nerve endings for feeling heat, pressure, pain, and touch. Sweat glands, sebaceous glands, hair follicles, and then there's also specialized cells such as leukocytes, mast cells, histiocytes, coagulating cells for coagulating, preventing blood loss, things like that. And a bulk of the dermis, so the majority of the dermis, it's something like 90%, but don't quote me on that, but it's a huge chunk, is all collagen and elastin. Okay, so our skin, and collagen is what gives us out the strength in our skin. The strength and the density is all collagen, and the elasticity is the elastin. Okay. So just going back to this, we'll go to this picture here. So just looking at the top here, hopefully you can see my mouse. So the top here is the epidermis. Then you've got two layers. You've got the papillary layer of the dermis and the reticular layer. Okay. Now the papillary layer is actually really thin and it's folded. So it's actually like a squiggle. Okay. And that's what creates our fingerprints. If you have a look at your fingers, that the folds in the papillary layer is what gives us our fingerprints. So that papillary layer is rich in capillaries, and it's there to supply blood to the epidermis. Okay, it supplies blood, so it's bringing oxygen and nutrients to that epidermis and to the basal layer of the epidermis. And then below the papillary layer is your reticular layer, and that's the layer that's rich in your collagen and elastin and has everything else in it, your cells, your sweat glands, your sebaceous glands, etc. So the papillary layer is the top layer. It provides nourishment to the epidermis, and the reticular layer provides strength, structure, and elasticity to the skin. So when we age, we lose collagen and elastin, and that's why our skin starts to sag and we get wrinkles. So with our skincare, we can help to boost that collagen and elastin production. So we're kind of fighting that aging process and to preserve our skin a little bit, hopefully. Okay. So there's 8 main structures of the dermis. We've got fibroblasts. Fibroblasts produce collagen and elastin. Okay, within the skincare industry, we'll talk about fibroblasts a lot because of collagen and elastin, and that is the goal with anti-aging, anti-aging skincare and anti-aging treatments. We want to be boosting that fibroblast activity and getting that collagen elastin working, happening. Okay. The other specialized cells are mast cells, histiocytes and leukocytes. Mast cells and histiocytes produce a histamine reaction. So when we have, and when our body recognizes something harmful, it will produce a histamine reaction, which is an immune response to protect us. Okay, so it'll send antibodies, it'll send blood, it'll send fluid to help protect and bolster that area, okay, and make sure that it fights any infection that's invading the area or anything harmful, okay. We've also got nerve endings, sweat glands, hair follicles, sebaceous glands, blood supply, lymphatic vessels, and papilla. Papilla are the blood supply to the hair follicle. Okay. So here's another diagram of the skin. Now, if I think this PowerPoint is on e-learning, but if you want this in PDF copy, just let me know and I'll flip it to you. I could have printed it already. You may all have it. I think I did before we went on holiday, so I think you might all have a hard copy there, which is great. So first and foremost, you've got your hair follicle, which is this here. Okay, so it's a pore that contains a hair, basically. Okay. Attached to the hair follicle, we have a sebaceous gland out to the side here. Now, sebaceous gland is what produces our sebum. Okay, and when we have acne, it's the P. acne bacteria that causes acne usually. Sometimes it's fungal, and that bacteria hides down here in the sebaceous gland. Okay, so it becomes inflamed and infected, and then we'll get this mountain of inflammation and sometimes pus if it's a pustule on the skin. Okay, and the bacteria is all the way down here. So that's a sebaceous gland. You've also got a erector pili muscle attached to the hair follicle. So this little muscle creates goosebumps. Okay, I think I've put a video on e-learning. I don't think I've got one on here, but I can put one in the group chat later if you need it. Put that down. Then you've got an apocrine sweat gland, which is not on this diagram, but it's a sweat gland that's attached to the hair follicle, and it's found in area like pubic region, so underarms and groin area. And apocrine sweat glands produce smelly sweat. So in these sweat glands, which are basically a long squiggly line, really similar to the sebaceous gland, but it's off the hair follicle, they harbour a lot of bacteria and they produce the smell. Okay, so that's how we get smelly sweat in those areas. And then we also have eccrine glands. Now, eccrine glands aren't attached to the hair follicle, but they are a sweat gland that opens straight onto the skin. Okay, so you've got lots of pores on your skin. If you look at your arms or your legs or your face, even your chest, you'll notice tiny little dimples, some more prominent than others. Some of them will contain a hair follicle and others will just be a sweat pore. Okay, you can notice them a lot more. You've got lots of them on your hands. And if you're someone who suffers from sweaty hands when you're stressed or nervous or whatever, if you look at that, you can actually see the moisture coming out in little droplets, and that is because it's coming out of an individual little sweat pore. Okay, so a eccrine sweat gland is a sweat pore, if you want to call it that. Okay, an apocrine sweat gland is on the hair follicle, and I like to call it an apocrine sweat gland because it produces smelly sweat. Okay, so apocrine for apocrine sweat gland, and eccrine sweat gland is like a sweat pore. Okay, you can call it that as well. Okay, you do need to know the technical name, so eccrine and apocrine, but if you want a way to remember the difference, apocrine is smelly sweat, eccrine is just that watery sweat that we produce when we're hot to cool us down. Okay. All right, and then we've got our specialized cells. Hopefully I'm not going too fast for you guys, and it's easy enough to follow. I'm so used to having you all in class and be able to read the room, and would stop, would spend some time on something, and then would go back and so forth. So if I'm going too fast, just pause it, rewind, or just pause it, take in what you need to, and then come back to it. Okay, don't feel like you need to watch it all in one sitting. So I've talked a lot about fibroblasts already. So just to recap, fibroblasts are the king in the dermis. Okay, they produce collagen and elastin, and collagen elastin is what gives our skin mechanical strength, and it also gives it its resilience. Okay, it gives it our structure. Okay, so as soon as we start losing collagen and elastin, we get saggy, wrinkly, and our skin actually thins down a lot too. Okay, so collagen elastin gives us that plump kind of strong skin. Mast cells produce histamine reaction for our immune response. They also have an anticoagulation effect. Anticoagulants stop bleeding. Okay, so if we get a cut, when we bleed, if we've been cut into our dermis at least, the mast cells will produce an anticoagulation effect to stop us bleeding out. Okay. Leukocytes are white blood cells. They are part of our immune function, so they fight infection. When we are sick and we get a blood test, they test for your white blood cell levels, so they're leukocytes. So they're checking leukocytes and lymphocytes, so they check the levels of white blood cells, and if it's higher than usual, it could indicate an infection. So that's what they look for when they do blood tests when you're infected. So when you get, say, a cut in your skin, or you have a pimple and there's pus there, you've actually got a whole lot of leukocytes there fighting infection, as well as a whole lot of other cells. But that's what produces that white pussy look. It's the leukocyte fighting the infection, leukocytes. Then you've got histiocytes. So histiocytes also produce a histamine reaction. The good thing with this, the name of this cell, is it sounds like exactly what it does. Histiocyte histamine reaction. Then you've got blood vessels, so capillaries. They deliver oxygen and nutrients to our skin and our dermis and our epidermis. And lymphatic capillary remove the waste. Okay, so whatever our blood system doesn't take, our lymphatic capillaries will deal with. Okay, so all that excess fluid, it'll go through the lymphatic system. You may remember that from when we went through the circulatory system. Okay, and here are our nerve endings. So this is a good diagram. Hopefully it's clear enough for you guys. You can see here you've got they've got your oil, you've got your hair follicle here, your oil gland, you've got your erector pili muscle over here, capillaries, your sweat gland. So what kind of sweat gland is this one here that opens out into the skin? Have a little think about it. Okay, it's an eccrine. Remember, it's the one that opens out into the skin. It's called eccrine. It's just the watery sweat that it produces. So you've got your different nerve endings here. I won't get into details because you don't need to know that. You've got a range of them, and it's on your PowerPoint, so you can read through it. I think I've put it on e-learning, but it's not a learning outcome to know each individual one. There's a lot to learn, so I'll leave it. But if you do want to go into it, you can. But basically, they're all at different levels in your skin as well. So you'll notice the ones for touch are quite superficial, so they're closer to the top of your skin. So up here, see where the hair opens up to here, that's our epidermis here. This is the top of our skin. So these touch receptors and light touch receptors are quite close to the skin, so quite close to the top of the skin, so it can feel light pressure or deep pressure. Okay, our heat receptors are a bit deeper, a cold receptor up here, and you might have them at different levels. So you could have some heat receptors up here. Okay, there's also receptors that feel both. They're called thermoreceptors, and they feel both heat and cold. Okay, but this is just to demonstrate how they are laid out in the skin. So they're all over. They're not just in one layer per se. They're at a different range of depths to get different sensations. A lot of skins. And I think we covered everything. So hopefully, I haven't covered the acid mantle. I'll make a video on that later. I'm pretty sure you're videoed out for now. I know I am. Hopefully this helps you a little bit in doing Dermis, and we'll chat soon. All right. See you later, ladies. Take care.